Radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right. Good evening. How you doing, Fade to Black? Yeah, today's Thursday, March 6th, 2025. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. And you know what I'm going to say right now? Today is my Friday. It's your Thursday. Yeah. And so there you go, wrapping up another amazing week here on Fade to Black. And I had a really good day today. And by the way, I've got snow in the mountains. I live in the Mojave Desert, and it's been raining all week. Really cold today. And I was out doing some stuff, and there it was, white hills around my house, white mountains. Absolutely incredible. Not my yard, but the mountains in the distance. But let's do this, man. Very excited about the show tonight, and you can help support everything that we do around here by getting yourself a Fade to Black t-shirt. We have 2 shirts, 2 ways to get them, 2 links below. Game Changer membership, or you can just order a shirt. Order both shirts. Everything is autographed. Everything includes shipping. An amazing week here on Fade to Black. Monday night, we had Hakeem Isler with us. An absolutely amazing conversation on remote viewing. And then Tuesday night, Jill Jackson was here and channeling and her life as a medium. Another great conversation. Last night was an AMA AJA. All of you got to ask me anything. Always fun when we do that. But tonight, now, Chloé De Chevigny is with us tonight. And all week this week, we talked about Starseeds. And this is how the universe works. I'm going to talk more on that in just a second. Now, I have 5 major events coming up. Rise of the Guardians, that's March 29th and 30th, 2025, Sedona, Arizona, in a couple of weeks. Then the Contact Modalities Expo in the Midwest, May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, 2025, Delavan, Wisconsin at Delavan Lake. Then back here in Los Angeles, Contact in the Desert, May 29th through June 2nd in Palm Springs, California. Then I head south to Peru with Brian Forrester for the Inca Celebration of the Sun. That is June 17th through the 27th, 2025. I believe it's sold out. You can go to the website and check it to see if there is any cancellations or anything like that. But we also have another tour coming up in November. Okay, so all the information is below. Then I go out to the East Coast for the Psy Games. That's right, the Psychic Olympics. I get to be a game show host for the weekend, August 1st through the 3rd, 2025 in Charlottesville, Virginia. Again, all of the links for everything that I'm doing in 2025 are below. All right. A couple of things happened today. And if you followed the news, you saw we had a second moon landing this week. That was attempted today. It didn't quite go as planned. We're still getting updates, but this lander's got a rover, and it's on the moon's south pole, and it's there to search for water. It would have been really cool if it was flawless, and we had 2 flawless moon landings in a week, which is absolutely bizarre. But that happened today, and then SpaceX managed to blow up another Starship today in their test. The chopsticks worked, though. So that went on. Okay, so now back to the universe. I'm going to make this really quick. The universe is amazing. Never ignore it. All right? And so let me tell you what happened. A couple of days ago, today's Thursday, so I'm guessing it was Tuesday, 2 days ago. Might have been Monday. I'm expecting some deliveries, a couple of deliveries. And I'm in my kitchen. It's in the morning and making coffee or doing something. And my alarm system goes off. So I look down, somebody's breached the perimeter, and I look at the live camera feed, and somebody has parked their car in front of my house and is walking up to my front door. This wasn't a sale. This is somebody that parked in front of my house, right? And is walking up. So I go to the front door. Oh, no, hold on. That was today. Let me get back to the story. Okay, so on Monday, I'm expecting a delivery, and a delivery comes. It's my security system, and I look down, and they come up, take a picture of the box, and walk away. Now, so I go out, I get the box, and I'm expecting like 3 deliveries. And so I come back in, I open the box, and it's a Coach men's briefcase. I'm like, what? I take it out and I look at it. It's a Coach men's briefcase. It's Coach. It's very expensive. And I put it back in the box. I went, what is it? So I put it in the box. I look, and it was the right address, but a name I've never seen before. And then there was it was like some numbers for the return. There was no receipt. I was like, oh no, what do I do with this? So I put it back in the box. I go and I put it by my front door, and I just kind of stared at it and went, man, how? So yesterday or the day before yesterday, I tried to find the company on the return address, and there was no luck there. And I only spent a few minutes doing it, but I was trying to figure out how to get this done. I Google searched the name, nowhere, that it was delivered to. And I said, universe, I need some help here. What do I do? And I put it down by the box. Today, my alarm goes off, car pulls up out front, and I walk to the front door and I open it up. And this guy was getting ready to knock, and he goes, did you get a delivery the other day for blah, blah, blah? I said, I did. Here. And it was right by the, and he goes, thank you so much. I said, all right. And he walked away. I have no idea. Is that the crazy? And I shut the door and I went, universe, thank you. I was stressing over this. Somebody just spent $500, $600, $700 on a briefcase delivered to some address, and I don't know. Maybe it was the previous owner of the house. I have no idea. But he got his Coach briefcase. That is the universe. Always do the right thing. I was waiting for the answer to come in, and it did. And it was incredible. All day today, I have been smiling. So there you go. There's my universe story. Don't ignore the universe. Tonight, Chloé De Chevigny is with us. Tonight, we're going to talk about her journey as a starseed, exploring her unique mission and personal contact with extraterrestrials. We're going to do all of that and much more. We're going to talk about her TV series and her upcoming film that is coming out. And her links are below. And I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Chloé De Chevigny. There. See, I did it.
Yay.
How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your show. I'm excited.
It's going to be a great conversation, Chloé. Mm-hmm. And before we get started, here's the deal. You get the first time guest disclaimer. So let's get that out of the way so we can move on. Which is this, Chloé? It's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. Where that conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, but we're going to end as friends. Now you have to accept so we can move on.
Yes, I accept.
That was easy. That was easy. We have been talking about Starseeds all week here on the show. And I love the subject. Help me understand what a starseed is. What is a starseed?
A starseed, in my experience, is someone who, well, like in my early life, I always felt a bit different, like in school, and I always questioned like reality and all of that. So I feel like starseeds have like a deep curiosity of like what is reality, and like also like we just have a connection with the universe and space. I've always been fascinated with space, and like I always had interest in like, well, there must be much more to this reality. And so starseeds are incarnated souls that have past lives in other parts of the universe. I believe that we all have different past lives that we can all tap into. And so for me, a starseed is and also to share the knowledge and the truths of the nature of reality, and to help people awaken to who we really are and how powerful we are in our life, and how you choosing whether you want to choose your positive timeline or a negative timeline also affects the collective, because there is a collective consciousness as well. So it's about learning to choose what reality you want, and that will ripple out, so that if we want a better future, we all have to make that decision that we want that positive new timeline.
Do you have? Do you consider? Oh man, this is such a difficult question. I'm going to go direct. Do you have alien DNA?
I believe we all have alien DNA.
Well, we
If
all
you look,
do. We all do.
yeah.
But I'm at you yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider, is a starseed a hybrid? Is there a connection, a direct connection through DNA?
I think that there's parts of my DNA that might be more awakened than other people. So
Mm-hmm.
so that I'm it's easier for me to tap into these topics and like fully understand and like resonate with all of these truths. But I wouldn't say that I'm myself a hybrid per se, that like I was created like with DNA like
Yeah, fair enough. No, you
yeah.
answered. Okay, I
Mhm.
get it. Because, and I'm asking because it's such a confusing
Mhm.
subject, star seeds, and there are some out there, and I'm one of them, that
Mhm.
has sat back and said, "Well, wait a minute, are we talking about a hybrid situation, or is it something else where consciousness is connected?"
Mhm.
We need clarification on these subjects for everybody, so
Mhm.
we know and we can understand what star seeds are. I have had a lot of experience and conversations with star seeds over the years. I sit back and scratch my head. I
Mhm.
don't know what's going on, and it just seems that there is something happening with the younger generations. I'm much older than you, of course, and we're very intelligent, very intelligent. And I wasn't that smart when I was young. I just wasn't. And you guys you you guys are blowing people's minds right now.
Mhm. I mean, I still like there's still like I always have questions, and like every day I consume like content about these topics because I'm learning every day, and I feel like our whole life journey is about learning and integrating a bunch of, because we still have like our human 3D brain. But I do believe that we all can unlock our DNA, and we all have access to this information. And even just by listening to these types of videos, podcasts, interviews, and even if a lot of the things don't resonate, with time, it'll become more and more true to you. And so I just feel like trust that intuition and stay curious. And yeah, that's how, for me, like, I've always been curious, but I also, like, when I resonate with something, like, I trust that.
The subject came up a couple of nights ago about different types of starseeds. And I was watching the chat, and I'm going to defer to the chat here now. Everybody let's see the different types of starseeds that people are aware of. And we ended up with a list of like 6 or 7 or 8 different types of starseeds. And again, I think that indigo, we've all heard a lot about indigo children. But do you also look at it that way, that there are different stages and different types of starseeds?
Yes, but for me, I connect with like multiple ET races because I feel like they all have their qualities and their own way of showing up in their own reality. And
How
also,
so?
like,
What do you mean by that?
by like what specifically?
It's showing up in your own reality.
Well, I mean, like, for example, Pleiadians, like, they have their own, like, they're in their own dimension, and they have their own, like, specific DNA, and they also have like their personality. And but in the Pleiadian star system, like, there's a bunch of other species, like on Earth, like, there's an abundance of life. And if you compare us with a frog, like, it doesn't mean that the frog's perspective is better or worse than us. They just all have a different way of being. And even frogs within frogs, there's multiple different types of frogs, and they all have their own qualities. So that's what I mean by, yeah.
Yeah, and that is such an amazing point, because I'll put it out there like this. How many? I'll even throw this out to the audience, but I'll throw this at you. You brought up one specific star system, but how many planets can you see with your own eyes from your backyard? That's an open question, and I'm going to answer it for you. At least 6,000.
Mm.
Just with your own eyeballs from your own backyard. Anybody on this planet. Now, and what I mean by that is, every star has at least one planet. And in an average night, you can see between 3,000 and 6,000 stars. Every one of those stars that you look at with your eyeballs has a planet. That's and that goes on forever. That's how much life is out there. So the diversity that you're talking about, you're spot on. You're absolutely correct with that. And that's a fascinating way to look at it. It just continues forever, doesn't it?
It makes me excited. It's like, it's so like, the universe is so expansive, and some people also say that there's also, like, beyond our universe, like that there's multiverses. So it's just fascinating, and like, we get so caught up in our 3D reality that it's like one lifetime here is nothing compared to like what's actually going on. And we're all fragments of source, and And so we decide to come here to go through an experience and experience both the darkness and the light. But it doesn't end with death. It continues. We just change. If you're conscious right now, like when I was a kid, I was like, why, who am I? Like, why am I would always ask this question of like, is it possible for me to not exist? And that answer is no.
Right. I don't know how old you are. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. I'll just feel worse. But I'm feeling really dumb right now. And it's only because these things that you are saying right now, it has taken me many years to come to these conclusions. And I'm 61 years old, Chloe, and I'm just now starting to get a grip. But it appears to me that you've had a grip on these ideas and processes for a very long time. How old were you when you started to think about this stuff? And what 5?
It's hard to like go back and pinpoint like what age specifically, but like I have like memories of when I was like a baby and like my mom was breastfeeding me, and like I can like I remember the room, her in the chair and her singing to me, and our eyes like were locked. So maybe I was already aware of like some of this information, but maybe with time, you know, like you go through life and there's programming in school, and even just like, you know, like my parents weren't uh, religious, but it's not really something we would talk about. So I feel like it's always been within me, but maybe like a little bit older, where I was like why, what is this? Like, why am I, like, who am I? Maybe
Yeah.
I
See,
would say,
when I was that young, I was like, what is dirt? That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I was like, I make jokes about that all the time. You know, I was making mud pies,
mhm,
and you're contemplating the infinite universe. That's
mhm.
two different mindsets. And our the generation of children right now, and I have kids, and I see the same things in them too as well. It is it's something that's very impressive. Now let's talk about uh, contact.
Mhm.
When did you have your first contact experience?
So I have this memory of when I was really young. It's under 5 years old because it was in this specific house, and we moved when I was 5. So it was before 5. And it's really strange. It's like, it feels like it was a dream, but that feeling, like I've done bungee jumping, like not like during COVID, and that also felt like a dream. So I say that because it wasn't just a dream, but it felt like a dream, like my memory of it. And it's like this presence in my room, and it felt like maybe I was also like uh, out of body, because I just like, I don't know, I have this like memory of like seeing from above, and I associate that memory with an owl. And again, it's like, it's so strange, and I've done a lot of research on that, and I've done a past life regression recently, and they're able to like, if there's like either a abduction or just a ET contact, like sometimes they'll like, you won't remember it, just because like sometimes we react to their frequency, even if they're positive beings. Our bodies sometimes will get like scared, so I feel like they were like protecting me by not letting me remember. And the owl was like, I feel like it was a safer memory for
Thought,
me.
yeah, a safer thought. Yeah.
Yeah, like a screen memory for me to have, but it's so strong, and like I was so young. How do I still remember this now? And during my past life regression, I found out that it was the grays that were kind of just like curious and
So,
looking.
did things take off from there, contact wise?
No, it's later. I've had like weird experiences like throughout my high school, but I wouldn't associate it with extraterrestrials. But there's this other time where it was during high school, maybe I don't know, 16, 17. And I like woke up like, and I was sitting in my bed, but now I know that it was like my astral body, and I was hit with this like unconditional love, like this frequency, like like it was so intense, and then I just like fell back into my bed, and it's like that wasn't just a dream. Like the feeling, it was like the highest frequency. So was that a higher dimensional being that was doing something like in my body? I'm not too sure because it was like super fast. But it was last summer that I really like started seeing orbs in the sky and flashes. And one time out of 3, when I go out and I ask them to show up, they show up. So that's more recent, like the physical, like in the sky, orbs and all of that. That's recent.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that for a second. I find this really interesting. Okay, so you're in Montreal, right?
Yes.
So these orbs that you were seeing in the sky was in Montreal?
I see them from my apartment, but I also see them wherever I am.
Okay,
The
fair
same
enough.
types of
Okay.
orbs. Yeah.
So how does it happen?
So the first time, like it's me doing CE5, so I set that intention of I'm always like, if you want to come out and play, because some people say that some extraterrestrial beings they have a playful like energy.
For sure.
Yeah, and it helps to us also like up level like my own frequency. I meditate, nothing too like, not for like hours, but I'll meditate maybe. Sometimes it takes half an hour. I put high frequency music and they just show up in the sky, and they're usually like pretty close, like above the tree line. Some of them are blue, some of them are gold, a lot of flashes in the sky. I try and communicate with them. So at one time I was like, there's a flash, and then it moves, flash, and then
What color was it? What color was it?
that time it was just like white flashes,
Okay.
kind of like a camera, like a boop. Sometimes it's bluish, and that was like really high up. And the second I'm about to think another flash, a super big flash, and I was like, whoa, like we're like linked. So that was, and one of the time there was this beautiful like golden orb. I say an orb because sometimes they're so high up in the sky, I'm like, is it a ship and I'm only seeing a light, or is it an orb? I just describe it as like a ball of gold light, and it surrounded me and my boyfriend for like a few minutes. Like I could have like taken my phone and filmed, but I was so like thankful, and like I was crying. I was so happy. I was like, thank you for showing up. And they like they circled around us and just faded out slowly. And it was high up in the sky, but it was still pretty close. So that was, yeah, every time I'm so grateful.
Are you able to communicate? Well,
I mean,
obviously you are communicating because
mhm,
you're saying, "Here I am. Let's have some fun," and they show up. So that's a communication, right?
yeah,
But are you able to communicate beyond that?
not for the moment, like, because it was the winter time now. I went out a few times on my balcony but it was like minus 15 Celsius and like kind of hard to stay out for like an hour. I am working on it. Like I and I also do receive downloads of information, but it's not like someone's talking to me. It's kind of like I receive a block of information, and then it's just like, or like a concept, and then I'll understand that. So I feel like that's their way of communicating too, but I don't like, I won't say something and then I
Yeah, like
hear.
how you doing?
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, that was last summer. I can't wait for it to be nice out, and I'm going out and I'm gonna like talk with them for sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I do it all the
Mhm.
time. It's so
Yeah.
fun to do. And uh for those that understand what you're saying, this is no
Mhm.
big deal. I mean, we
Yeah.
all do it. But there are others that are going to be listening to us, right? And they're just going to go, "Man, come on." No, this stuff is real. And I have had situations, and I'm there with friends, right? And we're looking,
Mhm.
I'm like, "Okay, just flashes. Bloop, right?" It's like, "Oh, that was cool. Do it again." Bloop. Okay, 2 more times. Bloop, bloop. And when that happens, and it never, um, uh, I don't wanna sound harsh, but it never happens to somebody that's not looking for it.
Mhm.
And you know that this possibility is above you all the if you can look up and just do this like you're saying, right? Then that means it's possible to do it all the time. But nobody that doesn't want to see it is going to see it. It's not going to happen that way. A positive attitude is key, and
Mhm.
don't take it too seriously, and don't be a dick. You know what I mean? Don't go
Yeah.
out. Oh, we're not going to see anything. Well, then you're not.
That's what you're gonna attract.
Yes,
It's so
yes.
simple.
I find this okay. So I'm so excited to have you on the show, but a lot has been discussed, although I don't think we really know. But different colors potentially mean different things.
Mm.
Do you see a difference between a gold orb and a blue orb and a white orb, a green orb? I've seen turquoise. Is there a difference in the colors?
For me, I feel like, because I personally feel more connected to the Lyrans, like the feline beings, and like the Pleiadians. So I'm like jumping to conclusion that blue is Pleiadian and gold is Lyran. I don't know why but honestly, like I feel like, because our like pure consciousness, I feel like show up as orbs. So I maybe it's just like that frequency signature is specific to the color, but again, that's like what we're seeing with our human eyes. Maybe there's no color. You know what I mean? Like that's what
I do. I
we're
do.
seeing. So yeah, I don't know. I'll have to try and connect to that more when I do see them. That's when I see them, I'm like, who are you? I feel like with time I'll be able to like have a full on like relationship with them. Like I'm pretty sure they're like part of my soul family, star family. And so when I meditate, like I do connect to a feline being. So
Wow, really? Do you
yeah.
see the being in I mean, it's in meditation, but do you see the being?
Yeah, I do see it, and sometimes we like put our head against each other, because I've always had cats and I always do that, when they come and they put their head against your head.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm in meditation, I cry. I'm like, I miss you. I miss you. And I have a name too I have the name Canuck that comes up. And
Canuck. That's
yeah,
Canadian. You're from Canada. Canuck.
yeah. And there's so many names though. There's so many beings, and maybe it's just like they give us a name, but they don't really have a name in their dimension.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just
for
for
sure.
us.
For sure.
Yeah,
I guarantee you they don't call themselves Canucks. I'm positive. I'm positive about that.
yeah.
There's too many jokes I could throw
Mhm,
out there right now, but I find this whole subject so fascinating, and only because I have seen and experienced so much. I have so much that I have forgotten more than I remember.
mhm,
I've seen that many, but
mhm,
I think that what I am experiencing, and with other people too, of course, is something. I don't know how physical it may be, but I think it's more interdimensional, and the frequency of the light is the color that we're seeing at that moment. That's what I think.
mhm,
But I'm not so sure if even that is the right answer. I know that it doesn't feel like it's us.
mhm,
That's the thing. And how many ancient cultures have seen the same things that you have, the same orbs, but
mhm,
they attribute them to spirits or deceased loved ones or something else, but they were experiencing the same things that you and I are. And
mhm,
but I think it's something more interdimensional, and it could be pure consciousness, like you say too, as well. I like that.
mhm. Some people, like, they they'll see like orbs and they know that it is a deceased person, because initially, like, they're back to their pure consciousness, some of
Well,
them.
that could be too. Yeah, I like the
Yeah.
way you think. I see. I don't get where your intelligence comes from. Do you think that a lot of what you understand is from some of the downloads that you've gotten?
Some downloads, and just I love watching other people's experience, and that's why I'm into like documentaries, is because we have to. And that's another thing, like, people don't trust what, like, people's stories. They're like, "Ah, that's not true," because they haven't been through it. But that creates separation. Like, we should all have like a safe space to be able to tell our stories. And I mean, if it doesn't resonate, it doesn't resonate, but it doesn't mean that it's not true. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Well, yeah. So while I listen to all these stories, I just it just I know it's true. I feel it to my core, and some of it is downloads too. My own, like when I'm in the meditation, and some other like experiences I had on, psychedelics and all of that. So it's just eventually you just know.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, and you're right though. Uh, those out there that haven't had this experience, well, they are always just going to go, whatever. You have to have the experience. And then once you do, now your eyes are open.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And you can continue to experience this, but until you've experienced it, you just I want to pop this up here. Somebody just put this in the chat room. Jimmy, I live in the Mojave, next to Edwards Air Force Base. I've seen a lot of cool craft. Father works at Skunk Works. Anyways, how do I go to one of your Skywatcher events? Here's the thing, Chloe. The reason why I put that up, I live in the Mojave Desert next to Edwards Air Force Base, and I live down the street from Skunk Works. And Syrup, I guess you didn't know that I live here in Palmdale, right here, man. I've got Edwards up the street and Skunk Works, and we here in this area, Chloe, every night, like he says, crazy stuff going
Wow.
on. It's just crazy.
Mhm.
And a lot of it is advanced aerospace and aircraft testing
Mhm.
of really cool stuff. But I think ET is watching us here. And we may have one of their flying saucers, in one of those hangars. And so maybe they're helping us fly that thing. I don't know. But here, if you want to see something crazy, just go outside. That's all you have to do here in Palmdale. Now, tell me about these downloads. What have you learned?
I just like different concepts or like laws of the universe. Like sometimes
Okay,
it's
well, stop right there. What do you mean laws of the universe?
like that, for example, like with time, that the past and the future like don't really exist. Like there's only like the present moment, but that it's multiple like timelines and like parallel realities that are happening all at once. And when we have a past life memory, it's actually like you're tapping into that timeline, and every day we have multiple choices of like, should I drink coffee or tea? Should I take this road or that road? So it's like we're always, and all these possibilities like exist. And so basically like concepts like that, or that everything is always changing, constantly changing. Like I know it's basic, but when you tap into like that, it's like, then why am I fearful that I'm gonna stay in this situation forever? Like things are always in movement. And again, it's such a simple thing, but when you tap into it, really, it's like, wow, it's just so liberating. Like, if something's not going well in your life, it won't stay this way forever. Just focus on a better timeline, and with time you'll be able to manifest that in your life. Just like,
Is it like changing lanes, shifting timelines, right? Getting off the exit ramp. Is
yeah,
that what you're saying?
yeah, it's like you get to choose if you want to go this way or that way. And it's so simple, but we get so like caught up on like, but what if this happens or that happens? Like just relax. And if you're in that frequency, well, that's what you're gonna attract. So that's also like recently a lot of it is about my frequency. And like, if I want to, because I have this like dream life, and like I know who I really want to show up as, and it's not because I'm not fully there yet that it's never gonna happen. I just need to make small decisions that are gonna lead me into that that timeline that already exists. I just need to be a frequency match to it, or else it won't happen. So a lot of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that too as well. How do you have any idea how long ET has been visiting planet Earth?
They helped create us, and they've been there for like millions and millions of years. And yeah, so they basically created us, which is a hard pill to swallow.
Well, not really. It's a
No,
good
but for
pill to
people
swallow.
that
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I know. So you're saying that DNA is universal and they messed with our DNA and have been messing with our DNA?
100%. Like, we have, like, I don't know the specific percentage of our DNA that's, like, active. I think it's, like, 10%, and the rest is inactive. Like, you're really gonna tell me that there's no purpose to that DNA? Yeah. It's
It's
just
anybody's
common
guess.
sense.
Yeah, right. Well, when you consider the age of DNA, remember, DNA is in everything that's alive.
Mhm.
That's it. Bananas have DNA.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So DNA has been around for so long and perfecting itself. But that extra DNA, when people talk about junk DNA and we only use, there's a reason for it being there.
Mhm.
There's a reason for it. It's not there by accident. And that's what we have to figure out. Or has it been designed as a storage device? How many, your ancestors and your ancestors and all the way back, how much of them are in that DNA that is extra?
Mhm.
And I would say that's a lot of memories. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? That's a lot of
Mhm.
data. That's a lot
Yeah.
of lifetimes
Mhm.
that potentially go back to the dawn of everything, right?
Mhm. And I also know and believe that we have been suppressed. So there's a reason, not a reason, but that also helps to understand why we some people are having trouble like tapping into all of these concepts is because we've been suppressed for so long.
Well, but we're starting to understand that now. And you know
Mhm.
what's helping it? And I'm talking about these 2D people that don't give anything about what you and I are talking about. But you know what they do? They watch movies. They read books. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? They're watching TV series. And all you have to do is go and watch something like Quantumania, Marvel. Go watch that. The concepts behind that movie, now they go see it as entertainment, but they are getting a serious science lesson on the multiverse and time travel and what quantum actually is and what it can represent. And they are starting to understand these crazy concepts that you and I and others have been talking about for a long time. But now it's like it's out there. People are starting to understand what a parallel world is, what entanglement is, what time travel is, what a timeline is, what a parallel world, an 11 dimensions, right? These
Mhm.
are things that are talked about all the time now, and
Mhm.
people are starting to understand these concepts, and I love it.
But the movies are still labeled as science fiction.
Hmm.
It's science fiction. I'm like rolling
Well,
my eyes.
but isn't that the point, though? Isn't that the point? If science fiction, two words, science, and then a made up story. So it's a combination of science and a story, and you blend the two together. And that helps those 2D unconnected people understand these concepts.
Mhm.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
Make more, make more.
But it's just the fact that they're still saying that it's not true. That's the part where I'm like, come on. You're tapping like those people who are creating, even if they're not like spiritual, or maybe they are just like imagining a story, but they're actually channeling information and they're not aware of it. They're receiving downloads.
What do you make of channelers and channelers that are channeling an ET, an ET being that's off planet? What do you make of that? Do you channel?
I feel like I do, but I don't. It's more for like my own personal learning, but maybe down the line I'll be publicly channeling. But I find it great. But again, it's like don't like trust to the T everything that people are saying, because there are still like well-known channelers that sometimes they say stuff and it doesn't really resonate with me. So take and leave whatever resonates or doesn't resonate, and like there's multiple possibilities. It's not like this is the truth 100%. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. Some channeling is entertainment only.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, all right. But when you see somebody like Bashar channel, which I've done many, many times, I host his events, and his information, because people come up and ask him questions, and a lot of it's personal. How do I do this? How do I change? What's the best advice? And I gotta say, it's never bad information.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. And I don't know how Daryl does it, and I've talked to him a lot about this, but there is something going on there. And I think it's some kind of entanglement that is actually happening. I think that the communication is real. I can't verify it. I can't, but it's pretty stunning to watch.
He's tuning his radio to a specific channel. And if you're not aligned to that specific channel, you might not be able to connect. So he's initially at this specific radio channel where Bashar is vibrating at.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with all different channels. It's like, yes, people will channel Jesus. Like a lot of people channel Jesus, but there's so many people that are channeling specific, whether that be one being or a collective of beings. A lot of them are different groups of beings. So that's cool too, to see all those different perspectives. But when it's in the higher dimensions, the same messages are always the same, because when you're in that higher dimension, it's like it's just their truth, it's their way of being. So
well, like I was telling you earlier, and it seems like I say this every night on the show. I've done this so many, probably 1,000 times I've said this, but we need the secret. The secret. How did ET survive? That's it. We need that secret. We can figure out how to feed the hungry. We can figure that out. We can figure out climate change. We can do all of that. We can figure out how to deflect asteroids before they impact Earth and kill us all. We can figure all that stuff out. I don't need that information from ET. I don't need faster than light travel, proton engines. I don't need any of that. Warp drives. No. How did you guys survive? That enabled them to get here. So how did you do that? And I think that's fundamental. It's the non-trivial question. It's the biggest question. And we need to get to that answer. And it makes me wonder if our government, Chloe, is in communication with ET. Have they asked ET that? And, you know, and it seems like if they did, we wouldn't have nuclear weapons. You know, I mean, that would be like the first thing.
But then there's like all the negative entities and beings that's
Are
what they
there?
want. Yes.
Yeah. Are there negative entities?
Yes.
Have
The
you
people who,
experienced them?
honestly, I feel like mentally, yes, like I've been to really dark places, and sometimes I feel like it wasn't really me. But when I was like young, I was terrified of being alone in my room, and I really think that I was vulnerable since I was like open. And a lot of people who are super psychic or are aware of their light will experience
The dark.
yeah. So the people out there who are saying that it doesn't exist, that's not true.
Why is it that so many, when a researcher or somebody that wants, you know, act like they're in the know and says, oh man, you know, all ETs are good. You know what? I check out. I check
Red
out.
flag.
I check out. There's just no way. Now, there may be more good than bad,
Mhm, mhm.
49% and 51% or whatever. But how do I know this? Look at our planet.
Yeah.
Just look at our planet.
But they
Some
say
people just are not good.
but they'll say, oh, that's the human nature. Oh, that's 3D. There's beings in higher dimensions that are also negative, unfortunately. But that's the universe. It's variety. It's like it's hard to sometimes like it's hard to grasp, but it's like how can there be light if there's no dark?
Well, you know, and here's when I said, you know, how did ET survive, you know, to get here? Well, that applies to the good and the bad ETs.
Mm.
Because maybe the bad ETs survived because they were blowing up other planets. No, I'm being serious. You
Yeah.
know, just crash and burn and just blast their way across the universe. And
Mhm.
because they had more power and more weapons and were just bad, you
Yeah.
know, in their soul, and that's how they survived. So yeah, I think it goes both ways, but you would still, here's the key thing, you have to get past a certain part of your evolution when you didn't kill each other.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
What we need that secret, you know, and there's, it goes back to yin and yang, black
Mhm.
and white, positive and negative, hot and cold. It's just the way things work in balance.
Mhm.
That's it. That's it. So to say that ETs are all love and light, man.
Yeah. There's one
Yeah.
specific person I have in my head, but people are following what he's doing, and he's very he has a lot of attention, but yeah, that's a part where I'm like, yeah.
Stephen Hawking, we got to take a break.
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking, many years ago, had one of the best quotes out there. Now, I believe in SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and their mission and what they're doing. Arecibo, well, it's now, you know, not running, but all of these projects that are out there listening and sending signals. And Stephen Hawking goes, dudes, what are you doing? Don't tell them where we are. You could let some really bad aliens know exactly how to find us.
Mhm.
And he's right. He's right. But if they are advanced enough for interstellar travel, then they already know we're here.
They're here. They've been here since the beginning before
Yes.
us. They're underground, so yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, save that. Let's take our break. We'll talk about that when we come back. Chloé De Chevigny is with us. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and get the Fade to Black official podcast. 2,000 episodes, all of them commercial free for just $2 a month. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's Fade to Black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? How you doing? Jimmy Church here. Special announcement. Get your Fade to Black t-shirts. That's right. Help support the show. Help support everything that we do over here. We've got 2 t-shirts. We've got 2 ways to get them. Get your Fade to Black t-shirt today. Go Backley Tappy. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut. Today we're headed to Bolivia, Tiwanaku, Peru, and of course, Omapunku. Brian, exciting. Thank you so much for everything, my friend.
Always an honor. Right behind us is the sacred river of the Inca that goes past Machu Picchu. So we're going to be driving up to its source at 15,000 feet above sea level and then down to Lake Titicaca.
So today we hit 15,000 feet.
Yes.
Crazy. And you can do it with us. All you have to do is go to hiddenincatours.com. Simple. We've got 2 tours coming up next year, one in June for the summer solstice, right? And then another one right here in November. So hiddenincatours.com. Come and hang out with Brian and I and his amazing team.
Right on.
River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right. Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church, tonight. Chloé De Chevigny is with us, and she's a filmmaker and a director, and she's got a TV series too as well, and she's a Starseed. And we've been talking about Starseeds all week on the show. Tonight, we have a Starseed with us and an amazing conversation tonight. Chloé, here's the thing for me. Negative ETs bad ET, benevolent, with everything. I have not had a bad experience.
Mhm.
I've seen things in the sky. I haven't seen lasers, bombing cities. You know what I mean? I haven't had a bad experience. Somebody that's been abducted and has gone through something very traumatic. I understand that. I
Mhm.
totally get it. But I personally haven't had a bad experience. You've got this TV series. Let's talk about that for a second. With other Starseeds out there, are there bad experiences?
Yeah, a lot of people do. I mean, my series, I want to focus on the positive aspects of ET contact. So that's the direction I'm going in. But I'm well aware that there are negative reptilians and other like negative grays and all of that. But the reason why I want to focus on the positive impacts of ET contact with benevolent beings is because when you do research and you look at all the documentaries out there, most of them are fear-based documentaries, and I'm all about shifting the vibration of the planet. So I want to offer the positive side of uh, being visited by extraterrestrials, because like you said earlier, most of them are positive. So that's the way I want to go about for my series. But I also do share this other more darker shadow side of what's really going on, because I feel like 2025 is about exposure, and we need to understand why the planet is suffering. And there are a lot of negative forces that are controlling the planet at this moment. So I still share about it. I'm not like, oh, it's just love and light. But yeah, for my project, I want to be more love and light.
Yeah, the reptilians. Okay, this is where, for me, the subject gets confusing
Okay.
because I've interviewed and had so many conversations with people that say, in their contact experience, maybe multiple species in a room, maybe just one, but that the reptilians were always the nice, intelligent ones. And then you have others that say reptilians are shapeshifters that are running world governments, and that
Mhm.
they're designing weapons and war and all of this bad stuff that's going on the planet is all it is what's the real reality here?
There's good humans and there's bad humans. It's the same thing. There's good reptilians and there's bad reptilians. That's why earlier I was like, don't put all your trust into one channeler, because maybe that channeler is tapping into a positive reptilian being. That doesn't mean that the negative ones don't exist. It's duality.
Yeah,
So
that
yeah.
that makes sense. Well, when I was talking about this earlier, so I'll repeat it again. The amount of planets
Mm.
in 1995 outside of our solar system, there weren't any. We still thought that maybe we were the only planet in the universe, right? And now, today, we now know that every star has at least one planet. Every star, everywhere. Well, you know what? Even the number is so big that we don't understand how big that number is.
Mhm.
It's that big. There are 1 trillion stars in the Milky Way.
Mhm.
That means at least 1 trillion planets. 1 trillion. People don't understand how big of a number that is. They
Mhm.
throw it around like it's just 1 trillion. No, A million is a lot. A billion is 1,000 millions. A trillion is 1,000 billions. That's how many planets are in our Milky Way.
Mm.
So you take a small percentage of that, a dinky percentage, 0.1%, and you've got 100 billion Earth-like planets just in our star system, in our Milky Way.
Mhm.
So how much life is just in our Milky Way? Well, good reptilians and bad ones. That's how many. And probably a lot, going on beyond that. When I hear somebody say that there's, 100 species visiting Earth, no, there's not. There's tens of thousands or
Mhm.
more that have visited this planet, that are aware of planet Earth. It's a huge number.
Mhm.
The number is ginormous. And with that comes the good and the bad. And so you mentioned creating us. Have they modified our DNA for us to look like them and to act like them? And does that make them God?
I mean, God for me is source energy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like one particular being. But initially, when they did create us, it was to enslave us. That was like in the beginning with the Anunnaki and the reptilians. But along the way, other species, because it's like also part of the experiment too, to see like how are we gonna evolve and like what side are we gonna choose. So it's like there's part of it is the experiment, but then part of it is like we're still under the control of like the reptilians because they were here like before us, so it's initially their planet, and they have that greedy like they want the power and everything negative that you can think of, like that's what they embody. But then
Were dinosaurs okay? Were dinosaurs created by the reptilians?
I don't believe so. I think that they're like part of the like reptilian beings, but reptilians, from what I understand, are more like humanoid and they're more advanced. Like they're four-dimensional beings, so they have their own technology and all of that. Whereas dinosaurs are more like, for us, like monkeys, from what I understand. So they
Okay.
were like both living at the same time.
I've often wondered if that comet didn't hit Earth, or asteroid, whatever happened 65 million years ago in the Gulf of Mexico. That's right. I said it, the Gulf of Mexico. Because that's what helped us, right? Dinosaurs get wiped out. We become the dominant species. But what if that didn't happen? Do dinosaurs evolve into creating electricity and the internet and building radio satellite dishes, radio telescopes? I don't know.
But there's like, yeah, but like I think alligators, I think they're from, anyways, there's some specific animals right now that are from the dinosaur era and they haven't really changed much. So
No, you're right about that.
yeah,
Look at sharks,
yeah,
75 million years, and they're still just sharks.
but it doesn't mean that they're not intelligent. That's also something that we're like, we're the most intelligent species. I'm like, actually we're pretty dumb. Like compared to other, so
I would tend to agree with that. But do we have shape-shifting reptilians right now running governments?
Yes.
Continue. You just can't say yes.
No, I thought you were gonna like ask other questions.
I'm learning from
I
you.
don't think,
I'm the dumb earthling right now. You are here to teach me, young one.
I don't think that all the government are like reptilians, but so the story goes that in the Anunnaki came to planet Earth, and then they created the human species. Like, they're known for creating species, and kind of like they're higher in dimension, but they're still like they feel like superior, so they kind of like do whatever they want with their own creation. And then the reptilians were like not too sure in the beginning, but then they like made the agreement that reptilians would be able to benefit from humans. And so in ancient Egypt, again, it's like our timeline of history is completely wrong. And that's also like, I want to expose that. And with time, it will be disclosed that, what they're teaching us in school is so limiting. Anyways, so because they don't want to know what's really going on. So
Why
that
hide our? Yeah, that's a great point. Why hide? Why keep our past secret from us? What's the big
because
deal?
who's in control,
Well, I know,
right?
but how much does that change things? And eventually, we're going to find out anyway, and we're going to be pretty pissed off when we do,
That's
right?
why they're trying all their best to control us right now. They're trying because they know that so many people are waking up and they're like, shit, like,
Mm-hmm.
we're doomed. Just go somewhere else and do your own stuff over there. Leave us alone. Let us thrive. Let us tap into our full like DNA that we have. Like, apparently we have like the most powerful DNA from multiple intelligent species in the universe, and it's like we have to work 9 to 5 to
That's
pay
right. That's right.
extremely high bills, and like, this is not life, guys. Wake up.
You're right. You're right about that. When we sent out a probe. Now we've had lots of meteorites that have been found on Earth with chemistry on those meteorites. But we just sent out a probe to the asteroid Bennu, scooped up a bunch of stuff, brought it back to Earth. And what did we find? RNA, the precursor for DNA, and proteins. The 5 fundamental proteins that make up DNA were found on that asteroid in the vacuum of space, surviving. The amino acids, the 20 amino acids that make up RNA, were found on that asteroid. So what does that tell you? That DNA is universal.
Mhm.
It's not just here on planet Earth, it's flying around in space. And
Yeah.
that's mind-blowing to me. It's like the biggest game changer, and some scientists have really woken up to that
Mhm.
idea that we were probably just deposited here,
Mm.
and we are the same life that exists on the other side of the universe. It's the same chemistry that's being carried around. And who's to say that Bennu, I'm going to go there, isn't an alien creation that's out flying around planting seeds in the universe?
Mhm.
I think that's very possible, don't you?
Yes.
The idea of which is now where we are in 2025. The idea has now been put out there at an official level that we are in possession of alien spacecraft. And I'm sure that the United States government isn't the only government on this planet that's got one of them. But what about this alien tech? Is this something that we are working on? And what do you know?
So from all the research I've done and all the documentaries that I've watched, they've had ET technology like since the 50s. And then if you go back to like ancient cultures and all of that, ancient aliens, like I love watching those like those kinds of shows. It's been around since the beginning, honestly, like alien technology, but like in more like modern times, it would be like around like the Roswell incident that they actually like had ET technology, and they've been working on it like for a long time. And that's again, it's like free energy and all of that. There's a really good documentary. It's called The Last Century from with Stephen Greer, and it's such an important documentary because he says it in the movie that we're 100 years late on like technology, and you know, people are like scared of technology, like, oh, AI and all of that, but there's so much technology that would benefit us. So but it's classified because they don't want us to be powerful and free, and yeah.
If the truth comes out,
Mm-hmm.
where the people of this planet are forced into asking the very hard questions of our governments and world leaders, such as, how long have you had this technology? How long have you been keeping it from us? Because you could have been heating our schools. You could have been farming our fields. You could have been feeding the earth. You could have been lighting homes this entire time, but instead you've been enslaving us with petrochemicals. That's 8 billion really pissed off people. And that's a big problem. It's not if ET's going to take over the planet. It's not about reptilians and the Illuminati running the world. It's about our children and how, you know, how societies have been treated for so long when there was an alternative. That's going to be a difficult road. I think that's one of the reasons why the disclosure, when it happens, is going to have to be accidental. I don't think it's going to be volunteered by the government. I just don't see that. It's going to have to be an accident. It's going to have to be a ship showing up. It's going to have to be something like that is out of the government's control.
But at the same time, there are really good people in the government too that maybe they're gonna have their own personal ET contact, and like they're gonna want to do it, right?
Okay. Oh, great point. When do we start trusting the man? Right now, they're acting like our friends. Oh yeah, look, let's Senate hearings, UFO hearings. Let's go. And I don't know. When do we start trusting the government?
But it's a pyramid. The pyramid. The people at the top know everything. Illuminati, the elites, the cabal, all of it. Reptilians not at the top. The people at the governments who are doing the hearings, they have no idea what's going on. It's secrecy. That's why there's so many classified projects. It's like, there's, I don't know, like how many people are in the like work for the government. Like I would be curious to see the numbers, like Canada, United States, Nana. They don't know everything. It's not because you're in a congressional hearing that you know that there's a secret space program that's been going on since forever, and that the moon landing is not like they've been at the moon like for so long before that. So they just don't know.
You bring up so many great points, and that's another good one. In the hearings, the questions being asked by all of those elected officials, very cool. I appreciate it. But that's not what was most interesting. What was most interesting is they were hearing about this for the first time. They're like, what? There's something going on that we're not in control of? We write the checks. How is it possible? So they go out to do research, and they are told, you don't need to know. And that's the other part where they're suddenly backing up, going, there may be something to this. We don't know. We don't know about this. And so it's exactly what you're saying. That pyramid, you did the Illuminati symbol, by the way. Yeah.
I'm not part of the
Let me see your tattoo on your finger. What is it? Oh, you got a bunch.
Yes, I like tattoos. This is to do the fuck you with flames. A little star, plants, a heart, like Keith Haring. My third eye, eye is on my arm.
Wow.
I have 444 on my leg. Like they all have, either they have meanings or I just did it impulsively because I just felt like it.
Now, my tattoos are guitars. That's Fender. Let me change cameras. And that's Gibson.
Nice.
Yeah. Guitars.
Where's your UFO?
No, it's on a body part I can't show on the camera.
Okay.
But when there must be, everybody's got their own definition for this, but there must be an organization out there in space. There has to be. When are we going to get a seat at the table?
You're talking about the Galactic Federation?
Call it what you want. Any name you want to pick.
There's a lot of councils and like alliances. Like on Earth, there's like they call them like the white hats, the alliance that are working really hard on trying to protect us from what's really going on. But at the same time, there's a bunch of like non-interference laws that they kind of have to let us decide what we want for a future. So that's also going on. That's kind of hard to, you're like, okay, if there's so many benevolent beings, why are they not saving us? Because we need it, we have free will, and we have to choose our most positive timelines. And a lot of there's a lot of bad people on Earth that they're tapping into negative frequency, and that's how they want to live. So
why does everybody expect or want somebody to save us? It doesn't make any sense. If you don't have a job, if your electric bill didn't get paid, you skipped a car payment or whatever, nobody's going to come to your rescue. That's your fault. And it's the same thing with us on this planet. Why do you want ET to come and save us? We need to clean up our own bedroom.
Yeah.
And well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I really believe that we all have like intuitive hints and like like initially we all have like a higher self, but if you ignore those, then that's on you. Right?
Well, yes. And it's baby steps. And
Yeah.
it goes back to your point earlier. Here is the thing. If you look around at this planet, it doesn't take much for everybody, just a little bit, to change.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit, just a little bit.
Mhm.
But if we all do it, imagine, how great this planet would be. And it just goes. I do my little bit. I do stuff all the time, and I don't talk about it. Sometimes I'll come on the show and I'll say, man, I did something cool today, but I feel like I'm patting myself on the back, or that people will look at it that way. I don't want people to look at it that way. I want them to go and do something like me.
Mm-hmm.
I lead by example.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. And if we all just change the way that we look, get rid of the negativity, some of it. I try to get rid of all of it, but
Mhm.
and shift into a positive mindset. That's all you have to do,
Mhm.
and I can't. I'm going to share two experiences. One, when I was a kid, I moved to Panama. First day in school. So I go from the United States shopping malls to a third world country. Okay. One day I'm in the States. Next day I'm there. My first day in school. And I look at during lunch and I'm outside and I'm eating at a picnic table. Got a nice spread in front of me. And I see across the street, I see these two little kids, probably 5 years old, 6, one was taller, lift up this fence, crawl under it, and run through traffic across the street. They're wearing shorts, they're barefoot, and they run up, and nobody's paying attention. I am. Kid gets on his all fours, little kid jumps on his back, and he jumps into a trash dumpster.
Mm.
He comes out of the trash dumpster with the paper bag in his teeth. Comes down, it's probably his brother, jumps on his brother's back, and they sit and they eat the garbage
Mhm.
right in front of me. I never seen anything like that. And
Mhm.
everybody around me, all the other kids, they're used to it. I've never seen that before. I didn't like it.
Mhm.
Now, what's the difference between me and them? Luck.
Mhm.
That's it. That's it. Luck. And I'm sitting there eating, so that changed me for the rest of my life. Fundamentally to my core. So much so that I cannot bypass and pass up a situation that allows me to help somebody else.
Mm.
I won't do it. I won't walk past that situation. I won't ignore it. So the second experience, this happened 6 months ago. I'm getting new tires put on my car, my Jeep. Really nice ones, by the way. And I'm at the tire store getting these big fat mutter tires and rims and, doing it up. And so I'm in there talking to the manager. Place is kind of crowded. Sitting at the counter, and this lady comes in and she says, I've got 4 ball tires on my car. The guy goes, okay. other guy working at the counter. So he goes out and looks at the car. And he comes back and he says, yeah, you've got 4 ball tires. She goes, I'm a school teacher. I can only afford 2 tires.
Mm.
And I said, where do you teach? I don't know who she is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, up the street, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, all right. I turned to Johnny, the manager. I said, do you have 4 tires for her car in stock? And he goes, I do. I said, okay, put 4 tires on her car. Put it on my bill.
Wow.
I don't know this lady.
Mm-hmm.
And I never got her name. She never got mine. And she goes, what do you? I said, you're a hero. All right, let me take care of this. He charges me. And the guy comes and goes, Jimmy, your car's ready. I said, great, thanks, bye. I walk out. That's it. She saw me drive away. She never got my name.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know who I am. But everybody else in that tire store that watched this go on got a lesson.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it, Chloe.
Mm-hmm.
I drove away smiling.
And it makes you feel freaking good.
It was a gift.
Mm-hmm.
The universe gifted me that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so for everybody out there listening to me, don't let those moments pass you by. And if we all just do a little bit, one day a year,
Mm-hmm.
we can change this thing together.
Yeah.
And E.T. doesn't look at us on this planet as people from Canada, from the United States, from the Soviet, or from Russia, from China,
Mm-hmm.
Japan. They don't look at us like that. They look at us like Earthlings,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to start acting like Earthlings.
Exactly.
One little thing at a time, and we can do this together.
Yeah. And there's this concept that when you do healing, like for your own self, that you're actually healing like your ancestral lineage. Because again, it's like if everything is happening all at once, every good decision we're making in this timeline is affecting the other timelines. It's hard to fully understand, but it really is how it works. And
Do the timelines overlap a little bit?
yeah, I think they do sometimes. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's when we possibly see something for a quick second and then it's gone? That something bled over and then went back to where it came from?
Yeah. Has that happened to you before?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. It's one of the ways I can explain some of the strange stuff that I've seen. It keeps me sane. Let's look at it like that. But I often wonder if we, like you and I right now, do we ever bleed over for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Do we become the strange thing to those that are in that other timeline? Man, I just saw something crazy. This big fat white guy, right? You know what I mean?
Gifting 4 tires to this lady.
I've never run into her again. I don't know if I want to, but I think it would be cool if she came up going, you know what? You're that guy. And it would be cool. I would like to meet her and get her
Yeah.
name. Trust me, it happened so fast. And as soon as I finished up, the guy came in and said, my car is ready. And I just walked right out. I looked at it. I jumped in and drove away. That was it. I was just some dude in a black Jeep riding off in the sunset. Yeah.
That proves that it wasn't coming from a place of ego.
Oh, it comes from a place of ego. I did it for myself. Hell yeah. Made me feel good. That would be a lie. Chloe, I look for those situations,
Mm-hmm.
and I turn around and just thank the universe for that moment. Yeah, no, I'm looking for it. Yes, for sure. And I think everybody should experience that. Just try it just once.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, uh, People that hang out with me, okay, and that are listening to me, that know me, that are around me, they're like, that's what Jimmy does,
Mm-hmm.
and I just try to let everybody, because I realize that I can be offensive to some people.
Mm.
All right. But the reason why I am is because I don't fake it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I'm just
Yes.
me. I'm just me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Mm-hmm.
trying to be something that I am not. I am just what you think I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a loudmouth, offensive person with
Mm-hmm.
an ego and overly self-assertive and confident. Yes, I'm all of that. But I'm also kind.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I pick up on emotion. And like I said, it all comes from when I was very young and I experienced things that really sucked,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't ignore it. And that's the other thing. Why is it in this 3D world, where we're trying to get to 5D and we're trying to, why is it that in this 3D world, we just choose to ignore the obvious? And how do we get to 5D if we're just stuck in this 3D mindset?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, I'm asking you, how do we do it?
I mean, there's different ways, but it's recognizing, like, is it coming from a place of intuition in your heart, or is it coming from a place of ego? That's one way of looking at it. Then you can look at your frequency, and your frequency is easily you can easily tell where you're at with your emotions. So when you feel like all the lower emotions, it means that you're not in alignment with your higher self and your intuition. And the other ways that we can, like, help transcend to 5D is just small changes in, like, what you're eating, what you're watching, like your on social media, or even just, are you watching a lot of the news? um just small little changes that you can make in your day to day that will help with the shift of vibration. Like, are you consuming substances, like even just alcohol? Like, it lowers our vibration. Like, even if you're having a good time, like, it's still affecting our vibration. And I'm being called to become, like, 100% sober. And I've been I like to drink and smoke and all of that, but now I'm really, like, realizing that it's a short-term pleasure, and it's not. It's a illusion that, oh, I'm gonna feel better when I have that drink, or when I smoke, or whatever it is. But it's kind of, I mean, there are benefits with, like, plant medicine and all of that, but you ask yourself, why are you doing it? Is it to have a spiritual experience, or is it because you feel like beep and you just want to numb yourself? So
Yeah, but there's a certain amount of bliss and happiness that you shouldn't deprive yourself of feeling good,
Mm.
right? So for some, now I'm not saying that being an alcoholic is fine. That's not what I'm saying. But some people get pleasure out of a steak or a hamburger.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But don't criticize or be judgmental
Mm-hmm.
over somebody else's happiness
Mm-hmm.
if they are not being judgmental to you.
Mm-hmm.
Then you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we got away from that. There used to be, and I've mentioned this over the last couple of weeks, not being political, but the Declaration of Independence, opening line, opening salvo, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's it. And somebody's version of life, liberty, and happiness may be different than yours. Maybe it's the
Mm-hmm.
same. But that's you are entitled to chase your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's if we can just get back to that. Being different is good.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everybody being the same is bad. It's
Mm-hmm.
just bad. It's boring too, as a matter of fact. And that's what we've got to get back to. And we've let that fundamental thing that made the pursuit of so many civilizations on this planet were pursuing just that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and trying to get away from tyranny and stuff. And it's just strange that here we are in 2025 battling the same demons once again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to be different is not good. Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a new film that you're working on. What's that about?
So it's basically, well, it's the series that I'm working on. So, but I mean, I'm gonna be doing a bunch more documentaries and movies down the line. But right now, my focus is the series that I want to create.
And do you have other Starseeds that you hang out with?
My boyfriend is a Starseed. In my my friends, like they are open, but they're more like in their, their 3D life, and like that's okay. But I feel like right now I'm more in a phase, like a cocoon phase of doing like inner work and concentrating on like my own personal projects. But I am being called to connect with starseeds like online, and like maybe eventually like meet. Like I am friends with the people with who I am creating the series with, but it's not like I'm not seeing them in the physical because they live in the United States. So yeah.
What do you make of the disclosure movement right now and what is happening in 2025? Do you think that you think that something's about to happen?
I don't know if it's gonna be this year, but we are heading towards disclosure for sure. But we have to also concentrate on our own disclosure, the people's disclosure movement. And with time, there's gonna be no choice but to disclose everything that has happened. And so just the only like advice I can give is just focus on yourself. And like there's like difference between like being selfish, like being not caring at all about how people are feeling and everything, but also like it's okay to have boundaries with people. If for example, I'm talking about all of this, but not everyone in my family or my friend groups are on the same page as me, and that's okay. That's okay. And eventually maybe it's their soul contract to not really believe in this stuff, and there's a lesson there too. And like you said, we're all different, but to always like watch the news or like always look at, has the government like disclosed, it's like, are you really believing that it's true? Because eventually, like when you know like all of this is true, you don't really need external validation. But for the other people that have trouble like believing, that's the people that we need to reach by doing what we're doing.
What about, how is the Canadian government, not to get political, but how is the Canadian government treating the subject? Are they as open as apparently what our Congress and Senate is doing down here?
Honestly, to be honest, I don't really know.
Good.
I don't know. There's a lot of people like Canadians that are experiencing stuff, and that's the important stuff.
The the American public seems to understand more and more about the subject. You know, we had the New Jersey UAPs and everything else that has been going down. I think that's a lot to do with the media and what's going on with Congress. Are the Canadians in general, are they more aware about the subject than in the past?
Yes, because a lot of people have had their own experience, and I feel like with time and with social media, it's like more and more accessible for people to fall on a UFO video, even if it's not true, even if it's not a real video, they start questioning. So I
Yeah,
feel like we're open, people are becoming more and more open.
I ask people when I go to different countries about this subject, and I think that everybody has been responding the same way. That yeah, everybody seems to be talking about it now, but we're following the lead of the United States, right? And I feel that if the United States wasn't in taking the position that they are right now, then the rest of the world wouldn't necessarily be doing the same thing as us.
It's like a trend.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it just makes me wonder when we're going to get a seat at the table in the universe. We're just not ready for it. We have to figure out how to use our consciousness, and we're not there.
We're starting to. Some of us are.
I agree. But science doesn't understand any of it. So until science can get a firm grasp on it, we're going to be behind the ball.
You know what we need? Starseed scientists.
Wouldn't that be
Starseed
great?
doctors, starseeds everywhere. That will change the game, because we know what's going on. Maybe not fully, like I'm not saying I know everything, but
yeah, no, you're right about that. And
the new generations.
can you imagine if in order to win the presidential election of the United States, to become prime minister of Canada, right? To do any of that you have to do DMT. Right?
Yeah,
That would
let's
change
just put
things.
LSD in water.
Well, I'm not saying LSD, but DMT for sure. I mean, to find that there is another dimension around us that you're not aware of, that would just change your way of thinking. It would change anybody fundamentally to their core. And yeah, I used to talk like that when I was a kid, and it was always a funny subject. Ha ha. But here we are. We're at that point now. You know, pot's now legal everywhere. And that wasn't the case at one point. But yeah, and I never thought that we would get to where we are today. I don't smoke pot. Okay. But people, it's from the earth. It's a natural thing. And if people want to do it, that's their choice. You know, I don't, you know, but I don't care. Again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Anybody's happiness may be different from yours. It's that simple.
I've had some spiritual experiences by smoking a little bit of weed.
I'm sure you have. Chloe, where can everybody reach out to you?
I'm everywhere. It's Chloé De Chevigny everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. It's all Chloé De Chevigny. I have my website, chloedechevigny.com. I'm also a spiritual coach, so I do work with people on all of these subjects. So yeah, you can reach out to me anywhere. And yeah, I just want to talk about this stuff and help people take back their power.
You're the best. Chloe, thank you so much. And be safe up there. And pretty excited about Canada becoming our 51st state. So you'll be with us soon enough. Chloe, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you so much. I look forward to our next conversation. This was brilliant. Thank you so much. Chloé De Chevigny, everybody. That was a perfect night on the show. Starseeds all week, and then we just wrap up the week with the Starseeds. Such a great conversation. And you know what I'm going to do right now? I want everybody to have a great, safe, and amazing weekend. Go Beckley Tappy. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go Beckley Tappy.